So I'm doing something different this year. It's kind of experimental. Maybe I won't end up actually posting it because right now I reached the end of the year. I want to talk about the books I read that year, and I kind of have this moment where I'm just like, what did I read this year? I don't remember like anything. I don't remember the plot very well. I don't remember specific things, but I know that I liked it. So what if instead of doing that, I vlog throughout the year and record my initial reactions to the books as I'm reading them. But for now, I'm gonna let you guys know what I've read so far. It is currently March 14th. So happy Pi Day, everyone. I wanted to try to read 2 books each month, or at least get 20 books by the end of the year. Maybe it can still happen, you know, the year is young, so I'm a little behind, but I'm gonna let you guys know what I've read so far. The first book that I read this year was Percy Jackson, The Last Olympian, the last book in the Percy Jackson series. And I really liked this. I mean, obviously, I've liked all the Percy Jackson books so far, so it's hard for me to be, I don't know, disappointed with a series that I've liked coming to a close. Probably no one could have these spoiled for them at this point. I know I'm pretty late to the game, but I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, I really liked it. I mean, like, a lot of things came to a close quite nicely. You find out like who ends up with whom. I was happy with the way that they did that, even though I had my moments where I didn't really love the girl that Percy ends up with, but yeah, she's cool by the end. She really matures, and I mean, you have to remember this is a book about teenagers, so they're not going to be mature 100% of the time. This book focuses on the, you know, last final battle against the Titan Lord Kronos. So obviously a lot of people, you know, discover really cool powers, find out things about themselves. We find out a lot about Luke, which is, oh my gosh, just feels. And what's the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, throughout the book there's a spy who's kind of like relaying their information to the bad guys. That's what a spy does. And I figured out who it was like super quickly. I don't know if that's just me. Maybe I'm just a little too smart. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I figured out who it was super quickly, and I have a love-hate relationship with when I do that in books. I mean, I like it because it makes me feel very smart, but at the same time, it does take away some of the anticipation and confusion and stuff. So the fact that I figured it out was kind of a bummer, but at the same time, I was like, aha, I knew it was you. But yeah, that was my only real beef with this book. And I mean, there's a lot of action in this book, and I'm not normally a big action person. Sometimes I get kind of bored by that stuff, but I think because I was so invested in the characters by this point in the story, I was really into it. I thought it was a really good way to wrap up the series. The 4th book's always gonna have a special place in my heart, but the 5th one's really good too. After that, I read The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I actually got to see Angie Thomas speak on my university's campus, and it was awesome. I mean, she's so young. She's like 30, and she's so successful. I mean, she was saying that she started basically writing this book in high school, and I mean, I'm sure that it's been through some edits since, you know, her teenage days, but she just has such an interesting story, and a lot of her own story does come into play in this book. For those of you that haven't heard of The Hate U Give, which how have you not heard of it? This book centers around Star Carter. She's a black girl living in a fairly poor black community, but she goes to school at, I believe, like a private, predominantly white high school. So she has these 2 worlds that she kind of balances. When I went to see Angie Thomas talk, this is where she was saying that like a lot of her own personal experiences were put into the book because that was her own experience when she was in high school. The main event that this book really centers around is that she's in the car with her best friend. They get pulled over by a cop for absolutely no reason, and he shoots her best friend right in front of her. She witnesses the whole thing. So it's very real, it's very sad. I mean, it's a lot of sad. Reading this as a white person, I had so much white guilt, and I know that's not always the best way to respond, but I tried to respond to a lot of the things by saying, you know, it really opened my eyes, and there are things that I can do that aren't just feeling guilty. I'm rambling, but I think that whether you're white, black, whatever, this is an important book to read. Whether it's to open your eyes to things that you didn't know really existed, or to have a moment where you feel seen. It definitely made me think about how screwed up the world is. It made me think about the privileges that I have that I wasn't even aware of. Overall, it's a really good book. I need to watch the movie. I've heard that the movie adaptation is also quite good. But yeah, even if you've watched the movie, read the book too. So those are the 2 books that I've read so far. I don't really know what I'm gonna read next, but I'll try to remember to record a vlog to update you guys whenever I do get around to that. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted as I continue reading throughout this year. Okay, so it is April 30th, and I have to return some books that I didn't finish reading, which is a bummer. So the reason I got these books was because I was looking for books to use for my thesis, but while I was in the linguistics section, I was just like, well, these sound interesting, so I'm gonna grab them anyway. The one book that I did finish was Language in Woman's Place by Robin Lakoff. This book was really good. I thought I had read excerpts of it when I was an undergrad, and you know, it's really short, so I just read like a couple pages every day until I was done with it. I finished it back at like the beginning of April. It talks about the English language and how it kind of like displays the sexism we have subliminally in our language. And, you know, she talks about, you know, kind of Sapir-Whorf hypothesis stuff. Are we sexist because our language is this way, or is our language this way because we're sexist? And it's really interesting because the book was written in the 70s, so a lot of things have changed, and then other things haven't. So it's really interesting to think about, you know, like, ah, man, we still do that today. Or, you know, oh, well, no one really uses singular he anymore. Everyone uses singular they when they don't know the gender of the person they're talking about, like me just then. Yeah, so it's just interesting to see and to think about, but I really do have to turn these in. So yeah, let's go do that. Hello again, it is May 11th. I graduated from grad school yesterday, so yay! So now hopefully I'll have a little bit more free time to read some books and kind of get caught up on my goal, which was to read 2 books a month. Eric and I are planning on moving to Pennsylvania in June, so I have about a month before the move happens, but that gives me some time to hopefully get a little bit caught up. So right now I am reading The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Alire Sainz, and I'm really liking it so far. I've read another book by his name is just so long. By Ben. And that was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. So I knew that I really liked his writing. Obviously he is, you know, Latino. He is also, I believe he's gay. He has a lot of LGBT themes in his books. This book is about a white kid. I actually don't know exactly what the situation is, but basically his dad is gay. He doesn't really know his mom. His mom is white. His biological father is white, but the man that he calls his dad is Latino. So I'm like, I think we're gonna find out a little bit more. I'm only halfway through, and obviously I don't want to tell you guys because I'm halfway through and I still don't know what's happening, so I don't want to spoil it. But unless I missed something, I don't think we're really supposed to know exactly what his, like, origin is at this point. And him trying to find out, like, more about his father, more about his mom, plays an important role. Like, that's a big part of the plot. Obviously, sexuality plays a part of the plot. Definitely, like, a coming-of-age book. Him trying to, like, figure out what his identity is, like what his personality is, who he is as a person. So yeah, it's just about this kid named Salvador who's trying to get through high school and figure out who he is. Right now I'm in this part where something really interesting is happening with his best friend. Again, I don't want to spoil anything because it came as a shock to me and I would like for it to come as a shock to anyone else who reads it. But I'm invested in this. It's really good and I can see myself finishing this within the next week. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. Okay, so it is May 21st and I finally finished The Inexplicable Logic of My Life. I'm gonna go back and kind of edit what I said previously, which was that Salvador, the main character, wasn't really adopted. He was adopted, And that's not a spoiler. I mean, it literally says it on the back of the book. Yeah, my bad. It's just that a big part of the plot is him kind of trying to figure out more about his birth mother and his biological father. So I think I just was like, oh, well, he's really confused about where he came from. But I mean, like, legally he was adopted. This book is actually heavier than I realized it was going to be. I mean, look at this cover. Look how cute. Like, it looks like it's just going to be like a fun little like summer read. Oh my gosh, like we're teenagers. But actually it was pretty heavy. It deals a lot with death. And I think it handles it well. I mean, he mentions in the acknowledgements, which I just read, so they're fresh on my mind, but like his mom died right before he started writing this book. So he clearly, you know, has the process of grief fresh on his mind. It's about life, it's about death, it's about coming of age, it's about being a teenager, it's about a lot of things. And that's why I really like it. Something else that I didn't really mention is like the chapters are super short, like 5 pages max. A lot of them are only 1 or 2 pages. So you can read through it really fast. The only other complaint that I would have, when he writes high school students, he sounds like an old person writing high school students. And I actually have a tweet where I complain about the way he writes teens texting. I get it. You're older. It's hard for you to do like the lingo of the teens these days. Like, I get it. But it does make it a little hard to read. But to transition to someone who's great at writing young people, the next book that I'm planning on reading is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli, who I love, and Adam Silvera, who I haven't read any books by, but I was looking him up a little bit just so I could like know a little bit more, and I noticed that he is the author of They Both Die at the End, I think is what it's called, which is on my to read list, so that's cool. But yeah, this book is by the same woman who wrote Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda and co-authored with this guy whose work I've never read before. But I really love Becky Albertalli. She has a lot of gay characters, bi characters, all these things, but she is a straight woman, so I really appreciate that she is collaborating with someone who is actually a gay man. It starts with like a meet cute. It's just like a cute little like romance kind of thing, and that's all I really know. So I'm excited to read this book. This is gonna be like my light summer read. Hopefully I'll speed through it pretty quickly, and then maybe I'll read something a little bit more serious. Hello, I know I'm very backlit right now. Let me scooch. It's May 25th and I'm like halfway through What If It's Us, and I just had a revelation. I was going through, I noticed that section 1 is called What If, second section is called It's Us, and I was like, are there only 2 sections? And I looked, I kept looking, and section 3 is called And Only Us, and I went, oh no, because one of the characters is like really into musicals, which makes sense, and I realized it's a freaking reference to Dear Evan Hansen, like my least favorite song from Dear Evan Hansen, where like 2 characters are entering into, I don't know, kind of like toxic relationship. I don't like that song, I don't like that ship, but anyway, you know, can't hate a book just because the authors like Dear Evan Hansen. Other than that, it's really good so far. Like I said, I really like Becky Albertalli's writing, so I'm really into it so far, and I definitely like the other character as well. But yeah, my other beef is like the first entire section of the book is these 2 guys who had a little meet cute at the post office trying to find each other on the internet, and they're so bad at it. It's just frustrating. I don't know, it's kind of funny. I mean, maybe I'm just like better at the internet than I realized, but like there's this part where this guy knows either the guy he's looking for or the ex of the guy he's looking for. He figures out his full name, and he's like, man, I tried to Google Hudson Robinson and all I can find is Kate Hudson and Chris Robinson, and I'm like, put it in quotation marks, dude, and turn your location tracking on. It'll find him. You're high school students in like 2018. You should be better than this. But yeah, I'm really liking it so far. But those are my thoughts. And I'm about to start part 2 soon, so yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. So it is June 6th, and I finished What If It's Us last night, and I liked it. It was good. I feel like everything that I kind of predicted was true, which is that I really like Becky Albertalli's writing, and that really made it for me. It made the characters seem like very relatable. The way that she writes teenagers is very much like how I thought when I was a teen, and I love that. And Adam Silvera, I don't know exactly how they split this up, but I assume that like Becky was writing Arthur and Adam was writing Ben. In terms of their writing styles though, often I couldn't tell them apart, which is a little bit, I mean that as a compliment. I mean, I also really like Adam's writing style, clearly, because I couldn't tell, oh gross, this is not Becky's writing style anymore, you know what I mean? I do often struggle with books where you're switching back and forth between two characters' perspectives, and I did have moments like that a couple times where I'm like, oh wait, who are we again? Are we Arthur now? Okay, cool. But I do feel like the switching back and forth was good in a way, because it doesn't make you feel like one person's the main character. You obviously get to see both people's perspectives. But yeah, it was really good. I don't want to give away anything, but I personally was very satisfied with the ending. I know that some people might not like the ending, but I personally thought it was nice. And now, keeping in the gay theme, because it is June after all, I'm reading This Book is Gay, which Amber lent me, and I'm a teeny way into this. My understanding of this book is that it's kind of like, maybe this is just me, but like when you're younger, your parents sometimes give you like resources to figure out like the changes that are going on in your life because you've hit puberty and blah blah blah. I feel like this is a version of that for parents to give if they know their kid's gay, or if they think their kid might be questioning, or they want their kid to understand perspectives that are different from their own. And yes, definitely it reads a little bit like it's written for high schoolers, but I think I'll benefit from this. I think I'll learn some things that I didn't know before. So yeah, happy Pride. Gonna learn about some gay stuff. I feel like I'm always wearing this shirt. I don't know. Maybe not. It's obviously been some time because I'm in a hotel. It is July 15th and I messed up. I recorded an update at the very end of June saying, oh, I'm so proud. I finished this book like right before Pride Month ended, and then I accidentally lost the clip. So I'm gonna kind of recap what I said, even though this book isn't very fresh on my mind anymore, so I don't think I'm gonna remember as well what I said. But I feel like the main takeaway that I said in that original clip was that I feel like there aren't a lot of resources for trans people in this book. It really does focus on being gay, and then it just kind of says as an afterthought, being trans is kind of similar. Or if being trans is different, she'll spend like a couple extra paragraphs kind of explaining, but it just feels like the trans issues in this book kind of are brushed aside, which is surprising to me considering that the author is trans. So it says in the back in the about the author section that she came out as trans in 2015, and at the front I remember it saying, this book is a collection of facts, my ideas, and my stories, but also the testimonies that she gathered in July 2013. So maybe that's why a lot of the contributions that she got were from gay people. So that's something that I think could be better. I mean, like a sequel or something would be great with a little bit more information. But yeah, overall really good. At the very worst, it's a little cringy because it's written by a middle-aged person trying to sound hip. And then also in the video that I accidentally deleted, I mentioned the book that I was going to read next, which was A New Kind of Christian, which I did end up reading. I don't know why I'm talking about it in the past tense. And I do remember distinctly that in the original video, I didn't know what to expect out of this book, really, so I read an excerpt from the back. It's a conversation between a pastor and his daughter's high school science teacher. It captures a new spirit of Christianity, where personal daily interaction with God is more important than institutional church structures, where faith is more about a way of life than a system of belief, where being authentically good is more important than being doctrinally right, and where one's direction is more important than one's present location. And I said, oh, that sounds like me. I also mentioned in the original video that this book was recommended to me by my dad, and we tend to be pretty like similar in terms of issues of faith. So I felt pretty optimistic that I would like this book, and I did. At this point, I have now finished the book. It's pretty short. It's only like 160 pages, and it's not like nonfiction, like it's smacking you over the head with how freaking nonfiction it is. Even though it's about this guy's own experiences, he's put it in a format that reads more like fiction. Well, it is fiction. He makes characters that kind of represent different parts of himself. So I really liked it. I feel like if you're a Christian but you feel like icky about certain aspects of the church these days, this could be a good book for you. It really tackles the issues of like the church being obsessed with money and getting more people, and you know, whether or not evolution is real, whether or not gay people should be accepted into the church community, things like that. So if those are things that you have thought about, and if you've ever felt like alone in those thoughts, This book is really good. I feel like it makes you feel like, oh, I'm not the only person who's asked these questions, and it also will not make you feel like you're a terrible, horrible sinner for asking those questions, because you aren't. So yeah, I really liked it. And now the next book that I'm going to read is The Power by Naomi Alderman. Got this from the library in the new town where I moved to, so that's exciting. I got a new library card and everything. And this book looks really interesting. I just wanted something, I've read 2 nonfiction books, so I really wanted something that was like super duper fictional. And what's more fictional than women getting the power to electrocute everyone? It takes place in a world that's very much like our world, and then one day suddenly, I'm not sure if it's all the women or just certain women, suddenly get the power to take their hand, as you can see with the little electrical things, and they can electrocute people. So we'll see what happens. I feel like I don't know a lot about it. I heard about it for the first time a long time ago, and now I'm kind of like, I forgot what the plot is, but I know it's kind of sci-fi-y. This will be interesting. I read about 30 pages of it last night after finishing New Kind of Christian, and I like it so far. And I'll keep you guys posted as I progress through the book. Hello, it is like 8:10 a.m. So that's why I probably look like tired and gross, because I haven't put on makeup or done my hair or anything. I just dropped Eric off at work, and I have to run some errands later today. And one of them is going to the library to return The Power. It's due today, and I have like 50 pages left. So I'm gonna finish it now, and then I will probably update you after I've finished the entire book. Hey y'all, so I just returned the book. Sorry I'm not looking at you, I'm driving. But I just returned the book, and I thought I would, you know, spend my ride back home telling you guys my thoughts. I thought it was really good. I've seen kind of mixed reviews on it. Like, some people think it's really good, and some people think it's, I don't know, like unrealistic. Obviously it's unrealistic. Like, women are suddenly developing the ability to electrocute people. Like, I think I said this with What If It's Us too, so maybe my opinions on multi-perspective books are just changing, but normally I hate books where there are like a bunch of different perspectives going on and they change from chapter to chapter. But I actually liked this one. Yeah, I don't know, I thought all the characters were interesting. One thing that was like really odd about it to me is like, there was never a single character that I was like, I really like this person. All the characters were really complex. I guess there was something to like about every character too, but mostly there was something to hate about every character. I guess I like Tunde, he's cool. Every woman has her own different like way that the power kind of corrupts her. Like, there's a cult that gets started, there's government corruption. It's really interesting. And the other thing is, like, normally this is the kind of book that I think I would say like is probably too dark for me. And this is like a heads up if you don't like this kind of stuff, but like there's a lot of like dark stuff, you know, there's freaking like rape scenes, and even without the rape scenes, there's like a lot of sex, there's a lot of violence. I don't know, I was in the mood for something like sci-fi and kind of dark. But yeah, overall, I thought it was good. There were definitely some parts where maybe it felt, I don't know, I guess a little rushed, but it's, I don't know, it's a short book and it's written like, it's supposed to read kind of like a history book, so I guess it makes sense to kind of skip to the important events. And it also, you know, it's a little bit political, right? It is kind of like a commentary on rape culture and what society would be like if women were the ones who were like physically stronger, and how things would change if that happened. And, you know, maybe this wouldn't change. I mean, maybe women would be like, wow, I didn't like being treated as an object for centuries. I'm not gonna do that to a man. Like, you know, there probably would be lots of women who thought that way. In this book, all the women kind of go, ooh, this is fun, I'm gonna kill a bunch of dudes. That probably wouldn't happen, but it's interesting. I guess, yeah, my overall review of The Power, it's interesting. But yeah, I thought it was good. I liked the writing style, and there's kind of a cool like twist at the end too, so that's neat. I'm obviously not gonna tell you what it is, but yeah, it keeps you on your toes.